I remember when I was a kid, I really liked Zola. And so I came home and I said to my dad, I was like, oh, I want a Chelsea shirt. And he didn't talk to me for a week. I was 5. I've been fortunate enough to do soccer aid like a few times. And like this year was just insane. I remember standing next to Kemp and we're both in the showers, half hiding like that a little bit. And then all of a sudden we just hear someone just walking in, just slowly clapping like that. And just standing there stark as Didier Drogba.
Brilliant. Just
going like this, saying, yes, boys. And we were like, oh my God.
Welcome back to Joe, everyone, where we've got another great guest this week. Roman Kemp.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Yeah, good. Well, in this current state of where Arsenal are at, in this world that we're living in right now, not that great, but we'll get back.
You're not a world away from being good again.
When I look at the football season, I always look at the corresponding fixtures to last season. And where did we drop points and where did we gain points? Last season, obviously, we beat Bournemouth away. Mm-hmm. So that's a -3 on that part. But then I look at, okay, the other circumstances, we played Villa away and we won it this year. Last year, we dropped 6 points to Villa. It's not looking too bad like in the corresponding fixtures. Like Newcastle, everyone was going, oh, we lost to Newcastle. It's like, well, we lost that last season. We were still up there in the top.
Do you not think, given how weirdly competitive the Premier League is this year, you have to give Arsenal a bit of respite, given the injuries, given the fact teams like Fulham, Forest, it's not just Villa this season. It's Newcastle. Newcastle, people seem to forget, they're still a really good side. Yeah. And with you, City dropping points, I don't think it's just like a you problem.
No, I actually said last year the problem was that what didn't feel as competitive as it should have been. I think last year there were a lot of times where City just looked completely unbeatable because no one knew how to play against them. It looks like this season, I mean, granted, they've had horrendous injuries, but it looks like teams are figuring it out a little bit more. It's that kind of death by football thing that Pep wants to, influence. But I think the whole way football is played now is changing. You've gone so far away from that tiki-taka style of football that's seemingly gone. You're looking at players that are dominating more. You're getting strikers are coming back into the game, whereas we've had so long just looking at it as that midfield being so important, wingers, your 10, and now someone like Haaland plays and you've got like a whole different style that you have to figure out. We were talking about it before and we were saying about there doesn't seem to be any strikers out there, but I think the next generation will bring more of those strikers like in that Haaland kind of mold. Yeah, I think the Premier League being much more competitive is a great thing. I mean, look where Forest are right now. It's fantastic.
I wonder with City, they've played so much football the last few years, and the team doesn't alter all that much. And if you think of the new faces in this year, it's just basically Savio on the wing. There's not loads of new blood going into that side, and they lost players at the same time. I wonder if there's just fatigue at the very top level, and that might be applied to Arsenal as well, who've been playing lots of games too.
Look at the football calendar. I think there's far too much football being played. You can see that players are tired. Like it was that we had, 9, 10 players pull out of the England squad the other day. It's like players are kind of at the end of their tether. And I know people go, oh yeah, but they're pros, they get paid X amount of money, all this stuff and stuff. But realistically, you're playing so many games of football at that level, and at that, and imagine what that does to your adrenaline levels, and emotionally. So I think that teams like City, can you go, no one did what they did in terms of winning the league 4 times in a row. For everyone to just go, well, why aren't you going to get 5 in a row? Is a bit like, what?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Do you know what I mean? So I think, listen, I still think, I don't think twice when I think about who's probably the best manager. I still look at Pep.
Let's sort of go back to the start a little bit. I appreciate you talked about this before, but your love of Arsenal, where did that start?
It's an unwritten rule. Like obviously, like my dad is a huge Arsenal fan. His dad was a huge Arsenal fan. When my dad grew up, it was watching players like Charlie George in the 70s and watching, Michael Thomas, win the league in the last minute. And I think so when I was born, there was no question. I remember when I was a kid, I really liked, I went to school and I really said I really liked Zola.
Yeah.
And because all the kids were talking about Zola, I must have been about 4, 5. I didn't even know who Zola was, but you're just like talking about it. And so I came home and I said to my dad, I was like, oh, I want a Chelsea shirt. And he didn't talk to me for a week. And I was 5.
Really?
So instead what he did was he took me to Highbury corner and stood me right there during our double winners parade. And he pointed at the bus and he said, "That's your team. We're winners."
That's so good.
I was like, and I had some great years. I mean, listen, football, that's what football's like. You go through the ups and downs. My mum has never really been like that into it. Like she's always like, "Well, why don't you just support that team? Why don't you just, when they're winning?" I was like, it doesn't work like that.
My parents have no interest in football beyond having to watch me play at junior levels, which even then my dad avoided ever doing linesman duty because they just knew he had zero love for it. But she I said I really want a Fulham shirt for my birthday, and she went out and just bought a Juventus shirt because she said,
"How old are you?"
This was when about 13. She went.
What's that, Pizza Hut?
That's a bit before that. Those shirts are impossible to get hold of, by the way. Yeah. If anyone would like to send me one. So
you're not Louis Saha?
That's when I first started getting into it a little bit, but. She just bought me a Juventus shirt and said, "Oh, well, what difference does it make?" I was like, "What do you mean, what difference does it make? It makes all the difference. I'm not going to wear this." So very ungrateful. Actually, I'm very thankful for that Juventus shirt, all things considered. But I am jealous you had a father that kind of pushed you into it.
I think it was a non-negotiable. Like that's as Arteta would put it, it was non-negotiable within my house, and I still have that thing of my whole family are from there. And so. It's home, like around Highbury and around Angel and Islington, and so it was always been like that. When I used to watch the games, I used to go to the games, either go to the games with my dad at Highbury. If it was away, you sit at home, you watch it, and then I'd have to call my granddad after the game to run through what we thought was good and what was bad. But my dad always used to take me to like the away games, like when I was a kid, and like
they're the best ones.
Yeah, like going to see Arsenal versus Coventry and Cov, and like watching Darren Huckabee score against us, and it's like my dad saw that I just loved it. And kind of just ran with it. I remember even FA Cup final days where I'd have to go, and my dad would run to the shop beforehand to make sure that I had red hairspray because I loved Freddie Ljungberg in that kit, up there, and do the hair. So it's been I think Arsenal for me is so much more than just a football club. It's a tether that I have with my family.
What's the first game that really stands out as being kind of that liminal moment where you thought, I can buy into this every single week?
Every single week.
It's just like, this is it. This is set in stone. Live football. This is great.
I guess. I mean, it's got to be Arsenal Man United when Thierry scored the flick goal. Because I just remember saying, I don't know what's just happened, and my dad just going nuts, saying that's the best goal he's ever seen in his life. And those types of moments, those feelings, again, like. I think through those years, there was one game that I'll never forget being out with my dad, which was we beat Middlesbrough, and we were losing. I think people will pick me up on this. We were losing either 3-0 or 3-1 at half time, and it was just after the Invincibles era, and everyone was going, "Oh, that's it! Like first home game to Middlesbrough, we've lost it. Like the unbeaten run's kind of gone." And we came back and I think we won 5-3. And you were scoring goals so quickly that the announcer didn't even have time to put it up on the board. And it's always moments like that I think about. But my first moment in football, in terms of when did I love it, was the '98 World Cup.
Oh wow, that is quite early.
I remember watching it at our family friend's house. I would play football at Alexandra Palace on the weekends, and I remember watching England versus Colombia. And David Beckham scoring that free kick. And we watched that game. And I remember forgetting he does that celebration when he goes like this. And I went that week and I went to Ali Pali and I was only 5 years old and I've scored a goal and I've just gone like this in front of everyone. So and that for me, that '98 World Cup, that was the first time I watched football and went, this is me.
It's funny, for me, it's 2002. Again, Beckham penalty, Argentina, And then I remember.
Did you watch it at school?
I watched it at our local church because it had just got like a big. It just got like a big projector, which was like so revolutionary back then, and it was like a big hall that everyone could go into. And I remember being on my dad's shoulders watching like the Brazil game as well. Michael Owen scoring again. And then it all going a bit tits out from there.
Horrendous. Exactly. No, but those are. I think a World Cup is a great way, or your national team is a great way to be able to bleed yourself into football because. I think even the same with what it's done for women's football. Like the girls winning the Euros and doing so well in the World Cup, etc. It installs this national pride, and then all of a sudden you realise you enjoy something and you like it.
Have you? I mean, how much women's football have you managed to get yourself involved in?
I've done some good bits over the time. I mean, it's very Arsenal. Like obviously, like I've been
great at the moment.
To see a couple of the games at the Emirates. Yeah, and it's fantastic. And I do think it needs to be maintained. How they go about doing that, I'm interested in seeing, because you don't want those crowds to start coming down and down and down. But I think the investment that the FA are doing into women's football is so great, and you wait till that next generation comes through that were inspired by Leah Williamson and Millie Bright and all those types of girls. Like, that generation will be phenomenal.
Yeah, I've worked at a fair few WSL games, and the energy there now is awesome.
The energy is amazing.
The way that like young kids are getting to interact with these stars, it's boys, girls, all viewing them quite rightly as megastars. Alessia Russo, it's the most nervous I've been interviewing anyone.
Really?
It was fresh after the Euros, and I was just thinking.
Yeah, but it's amazing. Like, even like within innovation within sport, like in terms of the boots and things like that. Like sure. They've been the players like Leah Williamson, being so vocal about like, oh, actually the boots are made for men. Like you need to change that. A woman's physique is different, and so it's incredible. I mean, look. The more football there is on telly, the better, right?
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
There's already an insane amount of football on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is good.
More the better.
Just quickly, is there any international leagues that you follow? I'm like a huge Napoli fan. I love Serie A. I watch that all the time.
Yeah, funnily enough, Napoli is my Italian team, I'd say, because my one of my best mates growing up is Neapolitan, and so it was always the team of Cavani and Lavezzi,
Hamsik, the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity.
I mean that team was insane, and I think a team like Napoli deserve to be where they are. I think that Naples as a place is like just football.
Oh, if you want to experience football from a pure kind of fandom, religious aspect, go to Naples, walk the streets.
I think anywhere in Italy, like you go to the San Siro, and I've been lucky enough to go to these stadiums, and it is something else.
No, absolutely.
It is something else. But no, I actually think probably Serie A. I think Serie A is really strong right now. Mm-hmm. I think in terms of the teams and the quality that you're seeing, like teams like Atalanta coming out and playing really, really, that's a hard place to go and play.
You're saying that because Arsenal drew the other day, is that why? Or
it's a hard place to go. Liverpool lost there. Liverpool lost against Atalanta. Yeah, exactly. But I do think the Serie A as a league now is strong. Maybe you look at the Bundesliga, I think it could be at one of its weaker points.
No, I agree.
Right now, I think.
Well, it's wild. Any big team can go down. It's sort of if you look at all the kind of classic big names, a lot of them are stuck in the second division because it's quite ruthless.
That's what I'm saying. But I think Serie A is tough now.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to know more about Italian fan culture, check out our AC Milan Football Behind Bars away days special, which is on YouTube as well. Nice. So a little plug to something else that we've done. But let's go back to Arsenal quickly.
Yeah.
I would like you to name your favourite five-a-side team of Arsenal, but also because I'm someone who loves like the El Nenis of the world.
Yeah,
they got the
love
guys.
El Neni.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I want your kind of five-a-side, slightly more maverick.
Yeah, I got one.
Barclaysman style team.
Oh, okay,
so, all right, let's go for your favourite five team first. Who would you have in goal?
I used to have him on my shirt, weirdly. I never used to have David Seaman in goal. I used to have Alex Manninger.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I used to have that. That was who I used to have. I used to love him. So let's go Alex Manninger in goal. I'll go the roguest Arsenal backline that I can give you. Thing is, I can't give you Banter era. I can't give you Squillaci's, and no. Underrated, very underrated. And at the front of pizza throwing in United, okay. I'll go Laurent at the back.
He's a great choice. I think a lot of Arsenal fans loved Laurent.
Yeah, I loved him. Controversial one, Ashley Cole. There's an argument to be had that Ashley Cole was the greatest ever left back. He's definitely in that conversation. I mean, you obviously Roberto Carlos and players like that.
Yes. His performances against Cristiano Ronaldo for England, I think it was either 2004 or 2006, where he just like locked down Ronaldo, is one of the best England performances ever. I've seen in a long time.
But I think as well, I think he was just a fantastic player. So I think I'll go for speed as well, and they were quite techie. I wouldn't necessarily go with a centre back. So
you're going for two defenders. So you got a midfield. You can kind of freestyle midfielder and attacker.
Midfielder and attacker. Let's go. Well, in fact, do you know what? Take Ashley Cole out. Take Ashcroft. Let's go Laurent at the back because I think he could do a little naughty little centre back role. Santi Cazorla's got to be in there.
Yeah.
There's no way I can't put him in. Like, he was just the most unbelievable player.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know anyone that can just put his hand up, say, I'll take it on my left foot, and then change for a corner. Let's take it on my right foot.
Anyone that has to regrow an Achilles and come back and still be majestic deserves praise.
Exactly. So I think Santi Cazorla's definitely got to be in there.
It's not just that he was good for Arsenal. Even his caps for Spain are massive in an era where they had Iniesta and Xavi, two of like the greatest ever, and yet. I mean, and Mata as well. Let's get it right. Like Mata was
phenomenal
at one point. For Cazorla to stand out in that team, unreal.
Yeah, Cazorla was a joke of a player. Centre mid as well. Used to love him. Had a great song when I was a kid that was linked to a porn film. We'll go Emmanuel Petit.
Okay, nice.
Emmanuel Petit in the middle with Cazorla because he's tough. That's what people don't remember about Petit.
I think Corbyn chose Petit as well.
Did he?
Maybe not for the same reason.
Yeah. But, mine was just because I remember it being like I didn't know what I was singing.
Yeah.
And it was like his name is a porno flick. That was the song how it used to go, and I'll pick it because my mum always used to go, "What are you singing?" Like must have only been about 8. One more.
Whack a striker in there.
Anelka.
Nice. Okay, that's quite fun.
Anelka, again, was the first great Arsenal striker that I saw. I remember being at the old Wembley watching him score. Just thinking, what a forward.
You know, obviously playing at one club or a few clubs and doing really well is fun. I quite rate the elite journeyman, which is kind of what he was.
Yeah,
if you look at the clubs that he goes to.
Bolton, City, like, do you know what I mean? Like, but also, people forget the time at Real Madrid. And if we hadn't sold him to Real Madrid, we wouldn't have had a training ground, so cheers.
Well, there we go.
That's what they did. They took all that money from Anelka. They didn't reinvest it. They just bought the training ground.
You've given us your favourite, like, five-a-side team.
Yeah.
I want your 3, like, iconic Barclaysmen. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be about Arsenal. It could be sort of anyone. 3 unique individual footballers that you love for like some random reason.
Bafétimbi Gomez.
Oh, well, I mean, there's no randomness about that.
Yeah.
Just straight out character up front.
But yeah, character up front. Always wanted him for us. Do you know another one that in a similar mold was Kenwyne Jones? I always wanted either one of those two. I think they were around the same time. We always lacked players. I think as an Arsenal fan, we always lacked players like an Abdoulaye Faye.
Wow. Okay.
That was just massive. Do you know what I mean? Like a player like that.
Well, I guess like Abu Diaby could have been that guy if he was just a bit more fit.
Diaby was one. How many do you want me to name?
Just three.
3.
So we've got Bafétimbi Gomez, Kenwyne Jones.
Kenwyne Jones. Yeah, right there.
I'm loving these names, by the way.
2 very similar players. Steve Malbranque. Do you want me to go him?
I love that choice. Absolutely.
Let's go Steve Malbranque.
Nah, he's a quality player, a French international.
Yeah.
Yeah, he. You know what? When you watch those kind of Premier League years footage, slightly grainy, not HD.
Yeah.
Images of Malbranque in the oversized Fulham shirts, picking it up and just slamming it in from distance.
Nobby Solano as well. Again, those were the players that when you used to sit down and you used to watch Match of the Day, and when it come out with Goal of the Month, you know that they're coming in at some point. At some point, Nico Cranchard's in there. At some point, Nobby Solano's in there for something.
There's been that whole thing about long distance shots fading. Go back and watch what it used to be. They used to like arrows into the top corner. These kind of guys.
Exactly. But we remember them. It's that conscious bias of understanding. That's why I never understand now. Even still, I never understand why teams do outswinging corners.
Yeah, no, it's true. You want to see it from the edge of the area, smashed in. We'll leave Arsenal there. Roman, you've been lucky enough to be involved in some really cool kind of charity matches. One you organised yourself at Watford.
Of course, yeah.
Also, Soccer Aid you were part of this year.
Yeah.
Too. I had another look at the team sheet that you were part of.
Yeah. What's
it like running out on the pitch with Usain Bolt and people like that? Was there a moment where you're in sort of scratching your head thinking, wow, this is really happening?
Yeah, this year was really, I've been fortunate enough to do Soccer Aid a few times, and this year was just insane. It was such a weird moment whereby, when I was a kid, I always used to talk about players like Del Piero and Del Piero and Ronaldo and Rivaldo and those types of players were always a bit. So when I was lining up in a tunnel alongside, on my team with Del Piero.
Yeah.
And even still, I remember Hazard picked the ball up in the middle of the pitch, and I was playing centre back, and so he's in front of me, and I was shouting at Stamford Bridge going, drive, Eden, drive.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're going, what is going on? Like, how is this even happening? So, very fortunate to be able to do things like that. But also, like, you get to see the fun sides. I never forget, we did Soccer Ed once, and I came in at half time. Yeah, everyone's playing a bit, and like, that was tough. Go in the showers. There's like smoke going on in the shower, like there's cigarette smoke coming from the showers.
Brilliant.
I'm going, what's going on in there? And he hadn't even come on yet, but he was about to come on. Claude Makalele's in there, just having a cigarette like this.
Oh,
just
really?
having a nice long shower before he goes out. And then he goes out and plays the game, and he's just unbelievable.
I think that's just a snapshot of what football used to be, in all honesty.
Yeah, totally. And even moments where we'd won it, and I remember standing next to Kemp and we're both in the showers.
Yeah.
We're both kind of like, half hiding like that a little bit. And then all of a sudden we just hear someone just walking in, just slowly clapping like that, and just standing there stark as is Didier Drogba.
Brilliant.
Just going like this, saying, yes, boys. And we were like, oh my God.
Leading up to it, how much do you actually all play together and meet each other, and how much in training do you actually see these guys produce little moments? Or I feel as if, because they do a lot of these matches now.
Some of them train, some of them don't.
Okay.
Some of them train, some of them don't, and that's just purely their own choice. Eden was really funny because I remember I spoke to him and I said, Eden, where have you been? And he goes, I don't train, my friend. I don't train. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, it's the same thing I said to Real Madrid. I don't train. Just call me on the game. That's like,
I don't know how well that's done retrospectively.
That's exactly what I was thinking in my head. I was like, oh. But I said to him, I was like, what happened at Real Madrid? And he was just like, they asked me to train too much. I was just like, wow. But then again, you've got some players that, John Obi Mikel, for instance, one of the fittest guys that we were training with every day, but also they have to manage their body. They have to manage it because they are at the kind of back end of it, So like John was a phenomenal trainer. The day before the game, we did like some tiny little like fun drill where we just ran, and he's done his hammy.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? And so they do have to be careful. So, but you do get the camaraderie and stuff like that. You do get that in the training leading up to it.
Yeah. Okay.
And you see some players that are just a joke. The best player, hands down, in terms of the pros. Can you guess who it is?
Can you list me the three that it could have been? Give me like a choice of three.
Okay. Roberto Carlos.
I don't think it's him. I don't think he's the best player, hands down. I think Del Piero. I'm imagining a technician. I would go for
Michael Essien?
It depends. I think he was tactically unbelievable. I'm thinking about touch and almost like the Pirlo qualities. I'm going for Del Piero.
Robbie Keane.
Really?
Robbie is a joke. You can't touch it. Him and Patrice Evra are the closest to. You can't touch them.
Really?
Not like Robbie will embarrass you. Like
it does feel like in Soccer Aid, if you have a half decent striker and they're going up against
okay. Yeah, I guess.
Not perhaps yourself, but some lesser quality centre backs.
This year I did all right. This year was good, and I had a bet going with two players. I had one with Jack Wilshere.
Okay.
I said I'm going to floor you within 25 minutes, and he was like, "You won't even touch me." And about 5 minutes in, bang, hit him down, took the ball. I was fine. So he owed money to charity. Right. The next one was Theo Walcott. Theo was like, "I'm going to nutmeg you." I was like, "Absolutely not." And then you watch that game back, and then about 30 minutes in, he tries to nutmeg me, and he doesn't do it. And I didn't even realise where the ball went, and I just shouted at him. I was like, "That's 200 quid for charity." So it is good. You get like some amazing moments.
No, that's awesome. I mean, you touched on it. It is for charity.
Yeah.
You have used your passion for football to be involved in lots of things where football can be amazing. I'm thinking like Sports Relief last year with the refugee team.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Fair Shot was a really amazing thing to do, as you say, with Sport Relief, and being able to meet people from horrendous backgrounds and people that have obviously fled their country for the most obvious and fair reasons.
Yeah.
In the world. To have football as that language that everyone could kind of come together and meet each other and understand each other's stories, and I guess just have fun was. Yeah, it's privilege, I think, is the word. To be able to meet these people and talk to them about their stories. And you kind of always find it. It's that same thing of like whenever you used to go on if you go on holiday or whatever, and you always try and see if anyone's playing football within the local park, your parents go and find someone to play football with. It can bring people together, and I think there's not a lot of sports that can do that.
The lad from El Salvador seemed really, really fun.
The lad from El Salvador, very, very lovely boy. And as I say, like, you come from completely different backgrounds, but you still speak the same language when you're on the pitch. You know what I mean? And you can never have met these people before, and you know how they're playing. You understand. You can see. You can talk to each other, even if it's not, you know, through the same language. It's just pointing or whatever as style of play. Listen, in my job, you have the privilege of being able to meet fascinating people. Their realities are far beyond anything you can ever believe.
Does it frustrate you, given the kind of weaponization of refugees in politics? We see that across the pond. When you actually go and firsthand talk to these people, hear their stories on a very human basis, do you find it frustrating that they're used so kind of lazily sometimes within this slightly aggressive narrative within politics?
Anyone that comes from a background like that, seeing and hearing people's stories, you obviously develop a compassion towards them, and you have an understanding of their situation, and it changes anyone's view. You'd struggle to have a conversation with someone that has been through horrendous things in their life and not feel for that person and not want that person to have as good a life as they can.
Boot Dreams,
yes,
BBC show.
Yeah.
That must have been awesome to be part of.
That, again, was Boot Dreams was a fantastic show. I wish we were able to make another series of it. But, you know, that's just how telly is right now. You know, it's hard to get anything made. But it was a really good, fun show. Again, it's that thing of listening to people's stories through a sport that so many of us love. And seeing, you know, I know friends of mine who have gone through the footballing system and been chewed up, spat out, and you don't really know where to go. You know, I think, again, that's a massive thing. Safeguarding within football is something that I know clubs now are trying to get better at, especially from a mental perspective. You know, you build these kids up from the age of 5 and tell them that they're going to be the best player in the world, and you know you've got all this pressure on them, and then all of a sudden at 16, that's it. You've barely done your schooling. You're a great footballer, but we still don't want you. You have to think of the human being inside of that, and what happens to them.
I mean, that's it really. It really takes away the glamour of becoming a footballer when you see what can happen if you can't quite break through into those teams. I mean, what was one of the biggest takeaways from you in terms of the people that you met?
The biggest takeaway for me for that show is that show allowed people to exit football on their own terms. They all knew that realistically their time was coming to an end in some way.
Some were a bit older, some were even mid-20s.
That's what I mean. You know, we had a few. There's one of the lads from, you know, played with Sadio Mane at Southampton. Do you know what I mean? Was part of that team. You know, he had 3 ACL injuries, one after the other. And, you know, unfortunately, he never got that moment to kind of be... It was always in a what-if stage.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the best thing about that show is that it took that what-if stage and kind of went, okay, no, I'm happy to walk away gracefully from this situation, because they never got that opportunity to do that.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, one of my things I feel passionately about is that football teams should do more to prepare players in their system for life in general, whether or not, because even educating them around how to treat women and stuff like that with sort of young men, it's a very male dominated setup, and it's similarly, I think more needs to be done. Okay, if this is not successful, you will be set up, well educated, have a chance to make something of it, because often, in my opinion, footballers are just viewed for the monetary value of what they could provide to the team and what they could maybe be sold for. At one point, that seems to be the dominating principle of why these academies exist, which I get that completely, but I feel like having watched that show, seen the thing you're part of, more needs to be done to help these guys prepare themselves for their life beyond football.
Totally, and some of those clubs are doing it. Some of the clubs are doing it, like, and they are aware of it. You know, I had a lengthy conversation with Per Mertesacker at Arsenal. About just that. You know, about what's again, what you're talking about is safeguarding, really. Like, you know, in terms of like later on in life, it's like, okay, what's next? And I know a lot of the teams, like I know Chelsea have things in place where they have financial planners for those young players that are coming through. Okay, understanding the money that you're earning and what the right thing to do is. Do you know what I mean? Like, not from like go and invest in it. Not even like that. Just like, this is a lot of money. This is a lot of how to deal with it. Here's how to safely make decisions.
Yeah, and it might not last forever.
No,
it might be switched off
exactly.
all at once.
And that's, you know, that's the kind of name of the game, right? It's like, it's in the same way that, you know, money, football's always going to be there in terms of commercially viewed as the biggest, you know, how much money can we make out of this system? Sure. It's always going to be there. But yeah, there are human beings that are playing it. And that's why when you look at things like the fixture list and the schedule of how many games they have to play, and you know the TV interviews that they have to do, or this and that, it all has to be taken into consideration by the clubs. I think they are getting better at it. I even think that shows like the All or Nothings and things like that have helped. People realise that they are people.
Well, there's a microscope on the clubs more than ever.
Yeah, but also look at people like Paul Merson and the work that Paul's been able to do in terms of showing, you know, gambling and addiction problems and the fact that no one kind of realistically may help him understand what was going on. And I think, you know, even players like Dele Alli, when that interview came out, I thought that was really powerful. I thought it was a fantastic thing for Dele to be able to do. And I hope a lot of players look at something like that and say, you know, either I need to come forward and explain how I'm feeling, or I don't ever want to be in that position. Mm-hmm. And how do I better myself? And that's why when you look at players like Ben White, who get chastised at the fact that they don't watch football or necessarily like football, it's like, that's a pretty nice life. He's able to come home from work, switch off, not look at it. Do you know what I mean? It's like he looks at it as a professional thing. So
yeah, I think Koundé came out and said the same.
Exactly.
It's a job, and it is.
Yeah,
for a lot of these guys. Just quickly, I know Bruno Fernandes was part of the show. Yeah. Obviously, United guy, but seems like a really standout fella.
Yeah, again, it was such a great show. Like, it's upsetting that, you know, like, listen, I don't know if another one will ever get made, but again, it was something that I think anyone that was within football really respected and liked, because they could see what we were trying to do. And again, Bruno was one of those people that really wanted to get on board with the show and be able to speak to the lads about that next step. Whether or not they'd make it was their own thing. But I think hearing from someone like that is, you know.
Well, I still think regardless of whether or not it comes back, for you to have something that you're so passionate about, like surely you'll look back at that series as something like,
totally
real.
There's a lot of things that I get to make in my life that you kind of go, I'm really proud of that. And, you know, and it transcends viewing figures or anything like that. You know, I mean, I never look at any viewing figures of anything that I do.
Neither do we.
Actually, but it's good not to. But I think shows like that are really important. And I think even when I left Capital, I kind of said that what I wanted to do was just make things that I'm passionate about and enjoy. And unfortunately, that is football.
Final thing, end on a fun note.
Go on.
You're getting your coaching badges, is that right?
Yes.
Tell me about that. What is your style? Are you tick-a-tacker or route one? Are you moving away from passing football? Are you aggressive? What has been your philosophy on the touchline so far?
I didn't realise, one, it is so expensive.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. So I've like that on that side, like, please, FA, why? Like that I actually feel passionate about. Like, they make it so difficult to be able to do something like that, and I think it's ludicrously priced. But no, I think I love data in football. That's my thing.
You're a football manager, man. Is that
Yeah, a little bit, but I love reading from like the top data analysts and like analysts, and seeing as much about the players as I can. And then, you know, it's hard because when you're looking at, like, you know, because they ask you to go and like manage youth games and things like that. I think it's just about mostly the enjoyment. Okay. You want players that want to enjoy playing, you know. And I think I'm much more of a man manager. Like, I think understanding the person rather than the player, I think, would be more important. But listen, for me, it's just fun. I
think a lot of us would like to be a manager, and a lot of us have ideas in our heads of what we would do if we were a manager. Yeah. Have you found it easy to convey your message?
No, it's not hard. But listen, like, it's only like, you go and help out in local youth groups and clubs like that, and it's a system that is really difficult to be a part of, and I think from a monetary perspective is not really sustainable.
Roman, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
it. If you enjoyed that, like the video, send it to your friends, all the above. Arsenal fans, get behind it. Roman, genuinely, really great to talk to you. You're doing some awesome things within football and on TV.
Thanks, man.
Like that. All right. See you next time for another interview. Bye-bye.
See you in a bit.
Bye-bye.